resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at ticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
WWE Friday Night SmackDown returns to Lincoln. January 12th, 6:45 p.m. Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Let's throw down right now.
See Rey Mysterio, LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, The Street Profits, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, Carlito, and more. It's WWE's Friday Night SmackDown in Lincoln, January 12th. Tickets start at $25 and on sale now. Ticketmaster. Welcome in to the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 12-year NFL veteran.
He's got some speed to go with strength.
Huskers and Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer.
Shovel pass to Green into Vikings territory. Finally brought down.
And University of Nebraska esports coach.
Green all by himself. 20, 10, touchdown. 98 yards and a Lambeau leap.
Here is your host, Ahman Green.
What's up, Harrison? Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ahman Green, like my man Harrison on the ones and twos in Lincoln, Nebraska. How you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Had a great New Year's. How was yours?
Yeah.
Starting off 2024.
It was good. You know, spent it with family and a few friends, and just relaxing now. We got about another week or so till I'll be back in Lincoln. A little bit over a week. I'll take that back. A little bit over a week. I'll be back in Lincoln soon. So just trying to spend much quality time before, with my wife, with my grandchild, before I head back up north for the little bit of colder weather, but then get back to work, get back to the grind, the heavy grind.
It looks like you got the fortress down behind you. It looks like you managed to get that done over the break.
I started working on the room today, as you can tell. I got all the boxes that was over here to my left out of here, and I got a haircut. If you haven't noticed, I cut everything off. I was like, I can't go where sometimes I couldn't get braided up right away. I'm like, okay, I got clippers. My clippers are in Lincoln, so if this is my look, it's gonna be real easy for me to self-adjust and clean up real fast.
Fair enough. But I mean, plenty of things to dive into. College football over the holidays was awesome.
Correct. NFL, amazing,
fantastic, especially being a Bears fan. Made the Fields conundrum a little more interesting, but I'll take a win heading into Green Bay for the last week. But nonetheless, where do you want to start with? We can talk college football on what really was one of the best, if not the best. Having a hard time to remember when it comes to the college football semifinals. I think that's
playoffs, right?
It's gotten. Yeah, I can't think of too many other things. But where do you want to start off with, Ahman?
No, we can start with college. I'll say start with there, and then we get into the NFL a little bit. But yeah, college football, the last week and a half after Christmas, basically, was where the bowl games, obviously higher caliber teams, a little bit higher caliber players, and we just saw games being played with a lot of emotion. It wasn't obviously every team that was in the playoffs. So the teams that weren't in the playoff games They still play. Like I remember watching the KU UNLV game. That was the day after Christmas. I think it was it might have been Tony the Tiger Bowl. It might have been the Gasparilla Bowl. It was some crazy name bowl game, but you would have thought it was a rivalry matchup because I saw KU, Leopold, who coached at Whitewater for a long time while I lived in Wisconsin, had his KU Jayhawks, man, playing really good. But then UNLV was like, we're not going to back down. We're not just going to, have y'all come into our state. Actually, it was in the Vegas. I think it might have been the Vegas Bowl or something. I think it was in Nevada too. So that might have been the reason UNLV was a little scrappy because they were playing it was pretty much a home game for them. And I saw pushing and shoving, but I didn't saw good football. I went down to the wire, and I know Kansas ended up winning the game. But just seeing that type of emotion played in the game that for most and for the guys and players and teams and universities that are fighting to get into the playoff. Next year will be a lot different. It'll be 12 more teams added. So then it'll be a lot more teams that we saw, like Liberty 13-0 and Florida State 13-0 that missed out. Now get the opportunity next year. But this year, still a lot of good competitive team bowl games that were going on here. And then the college playoff game, I think the semifinal games, I think they were definitely up to par of what football should look like when it's playoffs added to the equation at the college football level, because we've been seeing it in the NCAA basketball bracket, men's and women's, for years now. And it just works, right? When we get to March Madness, everybody's making out a bracket. Or if you're not making out a bracket, you are sitting come Thursday to Sunday, you're watching the games and for about a month. And so now that I say next year definitely, but that competition that we saw that I watched for Michigan, Alabama, Washington, Texas, it just showed you basically that how prepped some of these teams were, or how not prepped they were mentally more than anything, because we know this is a physical game. But I think mental came down to the bones of it, because you saw, let's start with the Washington game. You saw a team in terms of the Huskies. What I saw was I hadn't watched a lot of Huskies this year. I only seen a couple highlights here and there, and then mostly everything of Penix Jr., what he's done coming
Probably
over
the Oregon matchups. That's when most people were tuning into the Huskies.
Correct. And I only seen, highlights of him and going to the Heisman, out to New York, and, leading his team and them stating their case on why they need to be in the FBS playoff. And so watching that game against Texas, knowing the type of football that Texas is known for, is hard hitting, good running backs, a good old line, and wide receivers. And so Huskies pretty much was able to, defend them very, very well, keep them out the end zone and cause problems with their offense, not let their run game get going, they had a couple, they had some receivers that went up and high point the ball, got mossed a few guys. But overall, the Huskies, they were the team that was more, even though I look at them as a finesse team. They're not real super physical, but they dominated. And they dominated a team that I think a lot of people didn't think they were going to dominate in terms of the Texas Longhorns. And I saw that. And so it just, the matchup between them and Michigan it's going to be interesting, because we know Michigan has went through the gamut for over the last 3-4 years. They got in here the first time, they got their butt kicked. And now they evened out the playing field, because that game, as we saw, they went blow for blow, play for play. And I think their defense is what obviously complementary when you have that. When you have a defense that steps up to the plate and puts, the other team in a dilemma, creating turnovers, making mistakes, and not basically giving them enough space to breathe, to function as an offense, as I'm talking about Alabama's offense, and Milroe trying to be the athlete he was trying to, he made some plays, but Michigan made it real difficult on him. And that's what you're supposed to do as a defense. You can't you want to make a good athlete. You want to say to them, hey, if you're really this good, show us. And so, because we're going to put the pressure on you. And they did. Michigan's defense, they hit hard. They slowed the run game down a little bit, enough to where the team, I think, what was the score? 17-13 or something? I can't remember exactly.
The final score was 27-20.
27-20.
Yep.
But still, but was until the second half where things started to actually open up for either team, and then going into overtime, right? And then once that overtime, just seeing, having that conversation with Blake Corum, knowing that at the Big Ten Media Days and how excited he was to be back because of the knee injury from the previous years where he was on the bench. And he said it in the post-game interview, this time last year, I was out. I couldn't play. I wasn't playing. And now I say for him, getting that ball, regardless if it was in that overtime run, but you saw in that overtime run the determination of what he needed to, what he wanted to do, that what he was going to bring to that Tech or that Alabama's defense. He's like, look, I think he was on that team a couple of years ago where they got beat by them. So him getting that handoff, it was just all pure, grit as a running back that drops his shoulders. And no, I don't think anybody was going to stop him getting in that end zone the way he ran that ball. So it was just I say finally a play out of what this Michigan team has been through this past year. I mean, I share the same sentiment in terms of being somebody under the microscope throughout the whole season, being on a team that is being ridiculed because of what's going on with your coach and self-suspension and illegal things going on. But you still got to focus and play football as an athlete, as a football player. And that team, that's what they decided to do instead of getting caught up in the media news and what was true and what was not true. Regardless if it's true or not, they still had to play football, and they did. And right now they're setting themselves up in a good position to potentially have a national title. And it's going to be interesting because, like I said, with Washington, even though they were finesse, they were able to handle a physical Texas team. Now Michigan is going to be the next physical team that they have to face. So it's going to be interesting if they'll be able to get to that level of handling them offensively and defensively, slowing down their D-line to let Penix throw the ball. And then defensively, can they slow Corum down, and can they slow McCaffrey down, and the receivers, keep them at bay too, to keep them out of the end zone, because we saw against Alabama, and we know what type of defense they have. They worked, they pushed, and they worked for their yards and their touchdowns, but it wasn't easy out there. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Washington be able to try to do the same job. Yeah,
watching those, in hindsight, being 2020, I wonder if Alabama almost being on the other side would be better. But at the same time, I underestimated Washington a little bit. I thought Texas would have the edge in that one for the exact things you're talking about, the physicality. But Michael Penix Jr., he's going to be, I don't know what his ceiling is, but what he showed in that game, I mean, he was throwing it on a dot over and over and over again. He's going to be
windows, small, tight windows. Like a window would be like this. He's getting the ball just as it's closed.
Just reading him on the offense, I mean, he would see the seam open and understand that I'm going to have to wait, and I'm going to have one split second to throw this, like he said, in that tight window. And he was doing it consistently all game long. So I don't think there's going to be anything different in that next game. It's going to be up to Michigan if they can stand up to it. But at the same time, I think Washington's the biggest thing they'll probably be looking at heading into this game is what gave Alabama a lot of problems on offense. Alabama could not afford those third and long situations. That Michigan defense pass rush was getting in there in only just a couple of seconds after the snap. I mean, for third and long, for that first half of the game, every time it was third and long, it was going to be either a punt or a tackle for a loss or a sack. Alabama really struggled to do anything. So I think for Washington, that's going to be the key. And you talked about it. Is Washington physical enough to get that run game going strong enough so they're not sitting there 3rd and 11? They looked like the strongest team. I think Alabama was good as well, but you saw what they did to them in the second half.
Yep.
I can't quite explain the center woes for Alabama. I think on that last play there, that was actually supposed to be a jet sweep, but it turned into Milroe having to run it up the middle.
Because of the snap. The snap was a little low and fast. It was low and fast and like almost hit him in the gut where he's like, oh.
Yeah, had to go.
and what happened, that took off his timing and his read, because the read, if you watch that play, it was a quarterback power. Usually when the guard or whoever the old lineman is pulling around, if you're in the right position off his outside hip, you want to bounce it outside. You don't want to go inside. And this is a point in a game where you got to get the ball in. It was what, 4th down, or correct?
Yeah, it was a lot. They needed it.
The last thing I'm thinking as a runner is I'm going to bounce it. I want to run inside. I said, no, I want to bounce it outside, because then either I got somebody outflanked where I can outrun them, or two, I got somebody where I could pick the outside of their body. If I split a defender in half, I used to do this all the time. If I look at a defender, split them in half. I want to take his weakest point, which at that time it'll be to his outside, because then I got the edge, I got the speed, and I got the power. So even if he puts an arm and a shoulder into me, I have momentum going to the outside away from his power, which is center of his body. I'm gonna pick a side and exploit that side. And he was able to. He's done that previous games, right? Running the ball and breaking the line of scrimmage. But this time Michigan was ready for it. And then unfortunately, like I said, that weird, awkward, bad snap that delayed and took his read off where his eyes should have went.
That happened a lot during that game.
The whole game.
That's the one thing I do feel bad, because I feel like Milroe got a lot of slack for that game and his performance. So I'm like, man, it reminded me of Adrian Martinez when we had our center woes. And fortunately turned out to be a fantastic player. Shout out Juergens. But for a while there, it was woe after woe, high snaps, and it was setting Adrian Martinez up to take off, run up the middle in order to save a few yards to try to get anything. And that seemed to be the case for Milroe a lot. We do have Bryce chiming in here. I agree with you. He says Washington seemed like the more physical team in that game. I do agree, and I think that's what surprised me the most. But I do have a beef with the college football playoffs this year, especially if you're on the East Coast. My Lord, if you were on the East Coast, you wouldn't be done watching college football until 12:51 a.m.
Ooh,
I
always wondered about that. Yeah, how late?
61 minutes worth, or 60 minutes worth of hours. So basically, just an hour worth of ads right there.
Wow.
You look at the Sugar Bowl, same thing, 57 minutes, round it up. So you got an hour worth of ads for both the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. It's always started at 5, so it's nothing new there. So yes, if you're watching those college football games, the commercials are getting longer. They seem to be more frequent. Because looking at past years, I haven't seen anything be over an hour like the Rose Bowl was. So for everyone watching on the East Coast, that had been a long day. That's my biggest beef to pick with it, is the commercials. I felt like were a little bit insane, taking the momentum out of the game. When you were playing in those big situations, I know the ad times weren't as big as that, but did it ever throw you off as an athlete when you start getting to those media timeouts?
Not myself. I got used to it. I guess once I got to Lincoln, it was no big deal. But for my teammates, they hated it. I know in Green Bay, Brett hated it. He would talk to the guy that would come out with the big orange gloves to kind of let us know we're on a TV timeout. And he'll be sitting there. He's like, hey, man, just go back to the sideline. He said, I really don't like you. We're warmed up right now. We're in rhythm. I'm doing this. He's going off on the guy. And the guy's like, look, I don't run the commercial. He's giving Brett that look. It was so funny. And so for me, it was like part of the game. So I got used to it. So I didn't my biggest thing, other than being on the Madden cover, I was like, look, don't let nothing else throw me off while I'm playing my game. This is just a TV timeout. We got extra minute or whatever we got to do is sit out here. Let's warm up. In Lambeau, if it was this time of the year, you sit there, do some high knees, some butt kicks, keep your body loose, or go back to the sidelines if you got a minute and sit on the blower so you get the warm air just for a few more seconds, and then you run. Once he gives you kind of like a 5 second wave, you run out back there in the huddle. So for myself, no, but for most players, I'm a little different. I'm patient. Most players were impatient. They was like, no, man, let's keep, we're in rhythm, and defensively they might have momentum, or offensively a team might have momentum. And it's like, man, god dang timeout. Or coaches really hate it. That's one thing I know for sure. Coaches did not like TV timeouts.
Well, it's just you were pocketing timeouts, and you're like, I got the other opposing coach in a tight spot here. Here comes a freebie media timeout. He gets to save one in the pocket, and he can quick adjust what he saw he didn't like out there already. I know as a fan, most fans are on the ladder of incredibly impatient. It really stood out to me, so I had to point that out. An hour worth of ads for both of those, Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. Again, sorry to everyone out there on the East Coast.
They gotta make their money.
Yeah, I mean,
that's one thing.
But
it was funny.
Go ahead.
I'll just say real quick. On Twitch, I remember I started streaming in 2016, and I got all ready to go and hyped up. Like, man, I'm running my own TV show, right? I'm thinking that, I gotta put TV ads in here and da 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 da. And I found out real fast that none of the people in the chat was like, man, why are you running all these commercials? This is terrible. Stop running commercials of mine. So yeah, in the streaming world, do not, if you ever stream, Harrison, do not run commercials. Twitch does it automatically, and I think YouTube does it too. And I'm not sure about Kick, but yeah, on Twitch, They do the fans in the chat do not like the commercials.
You just lose all your followers. You throw a
Yeah.
commercial. Okay, that's good to know. I want to ask you about one more game here. A game that had the worst representation of the Big Ten so far in all the bowl games. We talked about some of the oddballs stepping up, like Northwestern. We did have someone chime in from the Starter Heyman text line. Again, you guys can do that anytime. 402-464-5685. And any bowl games you thought were in particularly interesting. Wisconsin, LSU. Wisconsin.
Yep, that was a big one.
I understand LSU doesn't have Jaden McDaniels, but at the same time, that is a good team. And it looked like we talked about before, Wisconsin team where it meant a lot more to LSU. And I think LSU got surprised a little bit, had to wake up. They eventually get it back. But the team I'm referring to, they scored just as many points as Nebraska did going bowling this year with a whopping 0. Iowa loses to 25 ranked Tennessee 35-0. Wasn't ever a game.
No.
I was surprised. I thought Iowa's defense was be able to hold on a little bit. I knew offense would be hard,
right?
But to get blown out by 35 and allowing that much offense is what really surprised me about Iowa.
Yeah, and then Iowa looks good on paper, but watching the Nebraska game this past season and watching the games previous, just to kind of get a take on what Iowa looks like offensively or defensively, just team wise. I'm not surprised because their offense is, it has, even though it has players, but it doesn't work for whatever reason. If it's the scheme, if it's maybe the offensive line not gelling together with the run to the pass, they just don't move the ball offensively at all. It's like, I say the worst thing of something in football, which is very rarely said, but it's like watching paint dry. I was like, this offense is really, but the good thing is for them in Big Ten play, their defense was amazing. They were able to slow teams, if not shut teams down. They slowed Michigan down to 20 points, but they scored nothing, in that last season finale for our last one of the tail end games for them. They played Michigan right a few games after we did or what have you. And Iowa, they played great defense, but they only held Michigan to 20 points, but they scored no points. So it's just something that they got to obviously work on there in Iowa City, and think and find some, maybe obviously hopefully their recruiting class brings in some ringers, because right now offensively that is a team that is one heavy on one side of the ball right now in its defense. And so that getting their offense to, I say, move the ball, pass, run. At this point, I'll be like, hey, I don't care if it's a pass game, even though I'm a running back. Let's get the pass game. Let's get something going.
Right.
Like we're not scary. We don't scare people when we come on the field with our offense production side of it, to where we make defenses having to adjust to stop us. They don't have to do much to stop us, running the ball or passing the ball, and that's a problem.
It's one of the few times where it feels like going to a bowl game might have hurt your recruiting. I don't want to say it did or not, but it just feels like offensively, after a performance like that, some of those wide receivers, quarterbacks you may have had in that upcoming class might be feeling a little uneasy about the direction of the offense, because it's clear that there's going to be changes offensively on how they want to continue going forward. Snow, if you are one of those players possibly going to Iowa, you're going to double think things. But not all the players, special teams player. Iowa was able to break a record. You got to shout out Torrey Taylor, has set the NCAA record for punt yards in a single season. So there is that going for Iowa.
There you go.
Punters, it is still special teams university for the most part. So they don't have
and tight end, even though I don't know who their tight end is right now.
The most, thing that I can't put my finger on is Iowa. You think of the NFL caliber tight ends, offensive linemen they put in there.
Laporte is at Detroit. You got Kettle in San Francisco, and I think it's a few more floating around.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And they, even in college, they're good tight ends, but they don't have those receiving. You don't see that offensive prowess that they end up getting groomed up to be in the NFL, but they always have that foundation. So just another thing for Iowa, continue to search for that offense. I can't imagine there won't be changes heading into next year's football season, but nonetheless, they did have a punter break the record for most punting yards in a single season. With that being said, though, we will go ahead and throw it to break here on the Ahman Green Show. Harrison at the Ticket Studios. Ahman Green, of course, hosted the show, streaming in. We'll talk to you guys on the other side.
Concrete Industries, a Nebco company, has immediate job openings for precast production laborers. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $20 per hour and a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer. Visit concreteindustries.com.
Introducing The Outlet by Sartor Heyman. The Outlet brings you luxurious Sartor Heyman quality jewelry at unbeatable prices. Shop our expansive inventory of overstocked merchandise and a vast estate collection that just hasn't found its home yet. This is your chance to own stunning designer jewelry at a fraction of the cost. Elevate your style at The Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Downtown at 12th and O or online at sartorheyman.com.
Herrick Services takes this time to wish everyone a happy new year. They are thankful for many things from 2023 and hope that 2024 brings prosperity for you and starts off well for everyone in your life. This important message comes to you from Bart and the folks at Herrick Services, your vending specialists here in Lincoln. Their quality service and expertise has earned them a fine reputation. That's Herrick Services, on the air because they care.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
School taught you all about the four seasons: spring, summer, and so on. And then there's the way we really tell what time of year it is in sports seasons: football season, baseball season, or off season. But what's the chocolate season? Well, it's now. And now, and now, and always. Whether you're looking for a caffeinated pick-me-up on the way to work, a little snack on the way home, or you need the perfect gift that's sure to be appreciated, it's time for the chocolate season. 40th and Old Cheney, or order ahead at thechocolateseason.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Ready to make this season unforgettable? Celebrate with Liberty First Credit Union's low-rate debt consolidation loan. Combine all those bills into one affordable monthly payment with quick access to funds. Imagine all the extra cash for holiday shopping sprees, festive parties, or that well-deserved vacation. Stop by any of their branches or visit libertyfirstcu.com to find out more about their low-rate debt consolidation loan. Make this holiday season one to remember and celebrate with Liberty First Credit Union, banking with purpose.
Are you looking for a new spot to relax and unwind? The Post, located on the south side of the Telegraph District on the corner of 20th and N Street, is perfect for a group hangout or a relaxing evening. The Post has plenty of exciting events open to the public, like Whiskey Wednesday and poker tournaments on Sundays. Looking for a spot for a private event? Ask them about their indoor patio. The Post, located at 20th and N Street in Lincoln.
Letting your children know you believe in them will go a long way toward making their dreams a reality. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. It's important to celebrate learning. Focus on the positives, reinforce good effort and determination. Children need your encouragement and support. Our public schools want every student to succeed.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
This is the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Ahman Green Show. Harrison back at the Ticket Studios, 1040 O Street. Ahman, host as always, streaming in. If you guys want to join the show, feel free to do so through the Sartor Heyman text line, 402-464-5685. Streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. Great way to put a face to the voice as always. And again, if you guys want to talk about particular bowl games, we can absolutely do that. Those are pretty much my biggest surprises. We're definitely Iowa getting blown out the way they did. And of course, Washington, I didn't think they were going to be tough enough to handle that Texas team. Michael Penix Jr., he played like a Heisman. I know it wasn't his award this year, but he showed a lot in that bowl game. And then Alabama, we talked about it. I know it was an ugly game. It took about 6 sacks, just over 120 yards in the air. But again, I think that Michigan defense is just really good. That's why I wonder if it almost would have been better if those teams were on opposite sides. But nonetheless, I thought they pretty much nailed it with the college football playoffs. Did Georgia absolutely beating the brakes off of Florida State change your mind at all about whether they belong to be in or not?
Yeah. A little bit, because
it's kind of tough to watch.
Because, like, I know the timing of the loss was bad, but that right there to me is making a bad, almost like a cop out for the voting, like for the committee to say, hey, okay, they lost and it's December. Okay. All right. What I mean, so is this that one is it doesn't hold a lot of weight to say, okay, they still undefeated. They lose one game in the championship game of their conference. They still got there because in basketball, they'll just be a number 2 seed going into the NCAA basketball bracket. So that one, it rubbed me the wrong way too. Seeing that game, Georgia playing Florida State, and we knew on both instances. We even said, I even said in Florida State, yeah, they made it. Like if it was enough teams that were allowed in, they made it. There's blowouts in NCAA basketball brackets, first round. There's first round blowouts. And then there's first round upsets as well. This is why the bracket is there, regardless of how the team gets there, because that was a whole big, conversation is FSU got shorted and some teams, well, they didn't have their quarterback. Regardless, injuries happen. Yes. The timing of it, you don't know when it's going to be, but they earned it. They were 13-0. They should have been there, but they weren't on their caliber level, obviously, as Georgia. And Georgia had been that team. They've been on a 29 win streak in the last 2.5 years. So it was just unfortunate. Now we got it for next year. For this year, later in the fall, we will have now all those teams that had been shorted this season and the last couple seasons where they should have been there. They were undefeated in their conference. They won their conference, all that stuff. Now all that will get answered and seen come this time a year from now, basically, to see the teams that go 13-0 in divisions that had opportunity to be in the college playoff bracket. And that's going to be, for me, to watch it as a football fan and as a sports fan, it's going to be like, wow, I've always thought about, why does college football have a playoff bracket or like a NCAA basketball bracket? And now it's here to see 12 teams coming at it next fall is going to be fun to see. And shoot, another couple years, cross fingers, being an optimistic Husker fan. Hey, maybe it's this year. If not, the next 3-4 years, we could be in that playoff as well. So just got to grind it out. But now I say for all the teams out there that, UCF a few years ago when Scott was the coach there, they were one of those teams kind of making their stake of why they need to be in the FBS playoff.
Yeah, and they would go on to beat Auburn. So in those years, who knows what noise UCF could have made. I know no one is really expecting that Scott Frost team to go ahead and beat Auburn, but they showed up, played Auburn very well, and I think they won in a pretty convincing fashion. We do have Clone Trooper chiming in from YouTube saying FSU also didn't have a lot of their weapons for that game. Yeah, and that's true.
Very true. Quarterback, a couple, maybe a wide receiver or two.
Yeah, LSU, kind of the same story.
Jaden Daniels didn't play in there. Right.
I got to see. I don't want to. It just seems like a cop-out excuse. I get it. It is a tough thing to look at, but at the same time, you saw it with USC. Their backup quarterback comes in, he throws 6 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Some of that's going to show what does your development look like? How good are the guys underneath your starters? But
and the wide receivers he had to throw to.
Exactly. 63-3 is you guys thought you should have been in. Looks like he didn't really want to work that hard because Georgia certainly didn't have that same attitude. I'm sure they were just as upset they didn't get in, and they proved a point, showing that they're still a powerhouse. Florida State, the spotlight's on you. You have the opportunity to prove that you belonged. You can't, in my eyes, afford that blowout, at least not in that fashion. If it's a game, as Clone Trooper states, you maybe lose by a couple scores, you're without your best players. People are going to at least be able to side with you. When it's a 63-3 blowout, I'm sorry, you put your starting quarterback. I still don't think you get the job done. I mean, that is, you guys got obliterated, just straight up period. So I don't know if that was a mental thing. Or as Clone Trooper said, they just really, without their key guys, that's what it looks like. But very tough game for them nonetheless. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here with these college football playoffs. Obviously, this can be Monday, but I think a lot of people are going to be looking at Michigan from the Big Ten. What started as a acquisition full season, they're going to somehow maybe get a national championship at the very end of it, despite everything. So you got to tip your hats a little bit for that team managing the handle. We talk about the outside noise all the time. Michigan did that hands down, double down on it. I think they kind of went into that championship game, even started a little sloppy. You had a muffed punt, a couple turnovers. They finally get comfortable and they start playing Michigan football. But for a second, it looked like they're going to have that same slip up they did against TCU, but they're able to get it under control. A few other things I want to talk about before we go to our next break here. Nebraska basketball, they have an opportunity to do something here that I think could be really big in terms of momentum building for the Big Ten play. Because coming up here, after they're kind of done with their non-con games, they were able to beat up on Southern California State 91-62. That one wasn't even close. The final score, even though it's 62-91, is still misleading. That game was pretty much over after the first half, but they're going to have a chance. This is, when I say the start conference play, I mean everything here on out is conference play. So now if you want to make your move in net rankings, you want to go dancing, you want to be part of March Madness at the end of the year, you have to start picking up wins now, get on that positive side of the conference play, because they're going to have a good Indiana team at the Vault. Then they're on the road playing number 21 ranked Wisconsin. That one's on the road. It'll be a good test for you. Then you have your chance at number 1 Purdue at the Vault. So if you can just win one against Indiana or Wisconsin, or even just 2 out of the next 3, you're looking at this team sitting in pretty good standard. I believe they said Rink Mast will be a game time decision tomorrow versus Indiana. Blaze Keita also looks like he'll be coming back from the injury list, so we'll get our size back. But if they can pull this off, I mean, what do you see? What's likely here? Do you see a run out of these next 3 games? Indiana at home, Wisconsin, 21 ranked Wisconsin on the road, Purdue back at home. What's Nebraska's record with those 3 games right there?
I'm looking at the way they've been playing, and they keep that mentality. I say a favoritism, not a favoritism, but a favorable outcome. I would say 2-1, and you losing to Purdue. If not, I see 1-2 because Wisconsin is tough at home. Or no, they're on the road. Excuse me. Oh no, they're in Madison. Wisconsin's tough at home. They like their home.
A lot of weapons still. When it comes to Zach Edey and Purdue, what is the real ways a Nebraska basketball team kind of, I don't want to say with the small ball, but when you're playing Purdue, it's going to look like small ball. Well, how are some of the ways that you think they can attack that Purdue team, especially knowing what Zach Edey likes to do? He's not going to stretch it out on you as much, but he's just going to be a force to be reckoned with inside. To me, it's just going to come with Juwan Gary stepping up and even having a bigger game than he's had before. Well, I shouldn't say that. If you get 18 offensive rebounds, that's pretty damn good. So if you get anywhere in double digits in terms of boards, that's what I think we're going to need. Group effort. I think you need it from Mast, which I'm assuming he'll be back.
Always group effort.
Keita, if he's able to get back, fantastic. Give you some more the legs in there. And of course, we talked about Juwan Gary as well. But what are the keys on this run here for Nebraska basketball that, I think they're good, but I still think they're a few steps away from really being an above 500 team in the Big Ten consistently?
Yeah, starting with Edey in the middle in terms of how you're going to play. You just got to basically attack him at all possibilities, because we know he's the big guy in the middle. And in terms of defense, you got to push his limit. Make sure you test his defensive ability, what he can do. We know he's a shot blocker. We just got to know, can he do it for a whole 2 halves and just keep attacking him and push it where you maybe get him in foul trouble. I know he knows that because teams want to test him all the time because of his size. Get him out the middle. This is a different ball game for Purdue. So I'll say that'll be one. Don't be afraid to attack him. Go to him, take it to the cup, pick and roll off of that, defend, double team, what have you. Make him work for his street cred of what he's earned in the Big Ten and what he's earned playing in the NCAA basketball at the height he is. And then offensively, again, it's the same thing. When you face good players, you can't just let them rest on their laurels. Oh man, that's a good player, so we're not gonna push it. We're not gonna try it. We see it in football where you go back when Deion Sanders or a nice DB was playing on one side, they wouldn't throw the ball that way. I'm the opposite. I'm gonna test you until you make me pay for it. Then okay, you get me a pick six. Okay, then I learned my lesson. I'm gonna go throw against the other corner. But until that time, I want to see what you all about. And so that's what Nebraska has an opportunity to do with their team. They want to see. They got to test every team because, as we know, once we got into the Big Ten, we knew we're now playing against a whole nother level of basketball back in 2014. And so to play against schools like Indiana, Purdue, every now and then, I mean, not every now and then, but Wisconsin, but every now and then, team like Northwestern has a pretty good squad out there. Other teams around the Big Ten as well. So just you got to come in and play your hardest and test everybody that's on our court, not just the big man in the middle.
Yep, and we do got one from the text line here. Someone who has probably been watching Nebraska basketball for a while. Unknown texter 7449 says, "Come on, guys. Already a bad Minnesota loss. Maybe 10% chance to go 1-2 on the next 3. With the Minnesota game, I think by far that's probably our ugliest loss. North Dakota had the opportunity. We only beat them by 8. But yeah, that Minnesota game was disappointing. But I'm also going to give a little bit of credit to Minnesota for hustling the way they did. And we've just kind of seen it when it comes to basketball. You can be Northwestern. You can find a way to take out number 1 Purdue. You can be top ranked 5 Michigan State, be awful to start out the season, lose to James Madison, lose your first conference game. Here's a chance to get Nebraska. We lose that one too. They turned around and they beat a number 16 team in the country in Baylor. So with that being said, yes, it's a bad Minnesota loss, but just because you have one bad loss on the season, I don't think it takes away what this team can be, especially getting Rink masked. I think if you're talking about that Edey matchup, I mean, hell, they almost beat him last year, and it's arguable to say this team's a lot more talented than the team was last year. Derek Walker definitely made a difference, but I think what Rink Mass can do with his IQ, you talked about attacking Edey, getting him, pulling him out of spaces. I think that's going to be the key for Mass, is really just be expert on where is he going to drag Edey around on the court, because he's doesn't quite look like it, but he's the 3-level scorer. Doesn't have the speed, and he's not going to maybe blow by you on a dribble. But if you lose track of him, he can shoot the mid-range. He's got a decent little mid-range hook he'll put up there. And then, of course, the 3-point shot falls down for him as well. So I think with him coming back, that is massive for Nebraska basketball, for the fact that it was a simple, clean procedure. I thought we are going to be missing him for a while. He's going to be back sooner than we know it, possibly even for the game tomorrow versus Indiana at 8 p.m. But we do have to throw it to our next break here on the Ahman Green Show. Got a few things left. We can talk esports on the next segment, get some updates on there as well. And of course, Nikola Jokic, NBA, his last 3 games has just been absolutely incredible. Only missed 2 shots. I'll leave it at that. But we got to throw it to break here on the Ahman Green Show. Of course, Ahman streaming in from Houston. Harrison back in the 1040 Ticket Studios. Don't go anywhere. We got one more segment up next.
Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in the winter, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep your clubs out year-round. Book a bay with some friends for a weekend or come by for golf and happy hour on a weekday. Spring leagues begin in February. Get signed up today. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex at West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf. Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Financial issue. It's an emotional problem with financial consequences. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Introducing The Outlet by Sartor Heyman. The Outlet brings you luxurious Sartor Heyman quality jewelry at unbeatable prices. Shop our expansive inventory of overstocked merchandise and a vast estate collection that just hasn't found its home yet. This is your chance to own stunning designer jewelry at a fraction of the cost. Elevate your style at The Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Downtown at 12th and O or online at sartorheyman.com.
Ready to make this season unforgettable? Celebrate with Liberty First Credit Union's low-rate debt consolidation loan. Combine all those bills into one affordable monthly payment with quick access to funds. Imagine all the extra cash for holiday shopping sprees, festive parties, or that well-deserved vacation. Stop by any of their branches or visit libertyfirstcu.com to find out more about their low-rate debt consolidation loan. Make this holiday season one to remember and celebrate with Liberty First Credit Union, banking with purpose.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
The place you call home should always be a place of comfort. Warm and cozy in winter, cool and relaxing in summer. If your home isn't delivering the comfort you expect, call Bryant. It's more than just hot and cold to them. It's about providing the best comfort solutions. And Bryant gives you a full 24-month test drive on your home comfort system. Get full details at BryantLincoln.com or call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Letting your children know you believe in them will go a long way toward making their dreams a reality. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. It's important to celebrate learning. Focus on the positives, reinforce good effort and determination. Children need your encouragement and support. Our public schools want every student to succeed.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
School taught you all about the four seasons: spring, summer, and so on. And then there's the way we really tell what time of year it is in sports seasons: football season, baseball season, or off season. But what's the chocolate season? Well, it's now. And now, and now, and always. Whether you're looking for a caffeinated pick-me-up on the way to work, a little snack on the way home, or you need the perfect gift that's sure to be appreciated, it's time for the chocolate season. 40th and Old Cheney, or order ahead at thechocolateseason.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Every Saturday morning now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
This is the Ahman Green Show on 93.7 The Ticket and FM.com.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment of the Ahman Green Show. Of course, Ahman, host as always, streaming in from Houston. Harrison back at the 1040 Ticket Studios. Sartor Heyman text line. Shout out to Bryce and a few unknown texters, as well as Clone Trooper on YouTube. 402-464-5685. We got a little bit of time left, but it's a great time to join the show as always. And again, use the streams, put a face to the voice. But as I kind of teased before we went to our last break here, Nikola Jokic has taken coasting to an all-new level. He has an really been putting in what seems like a ton of effort. That might be the wrong choice of words there, but he's not taking over the games. It feels like the way he can. Nikola Jokic over his last 3 games averaged 19.3 points, 11.7 assists, 7.7 rebounds, 1.3 blocks, and about half steal per game, and only about 4 turnovers. 26 for 28 field goal through those 3 games. So he's only missed 2 shots on his last 3 games out of 28 on a total of 93, 100, 100 shooting splits. So 93 overall field goal percentage, 100% from the 3-point line, 100% from the free throw line, coasting and still dominant. Like I can't stress enough how much it infuriates me when people don't say that guy's not the MVP. It's insane what he does night in, night out.
Well, we're at this point right now. Yeah, he's just stating his case. People that are in the decision-making seats of MVP or whatever, he's making it known right now. Something my dad used to say to me all the time when I was in it. I felt like people weren't noticing that I wasn't doing as good as I know I'm doing. And people like, look, he would tell me, look, this play so well where they have no choice but to put you in, basically. And that's what he's doing. So, but he's already, as we know, he's already that caliber of player. He proved it last year by leading his team, and he's been proving it. It wasn't up to it was the years before. He had the respect due. He took it upon himself within the last 5 years to get himself in shape at the level he knew that he needed to compete at to help his team win a World Series or win a World Championship, and they did. And so it was part of him. He was probably, I don't know the percentage, but well over 50% of the offense. And I say leadership all there, 80% of leadership there, where that Denver Nuggets team, man, didn't sway, didn't flinch at anybody they faced during the playoffs last season. I watched a few of the series and paid attention. It was like, man, they're on a mission, and any team that was going to face them after that first round, it was going to be a hard matchup, in which they did for everybody that faced them.
And that's what impressed me so much last year. And that's why I do give the Lakers a lot of credit in last year's NBA playoffs, because I know the series between the Nuggets and Lakers, I believe it was the sweep. Maybe they got one game. I'm like 99% confidence Nuggets swept them. But every single game, for the most part, was decided in the fourth quarter. And you said it was Jokic at the end of the games. I mean, it was one-legged step-back threes. He was putting up over not just anyone, over a 7-footer and Anthony Davis as well, in making them consistently. So what he's able to do, put any team on his back. The absence of Jamal Murray, it showed. He'll step up and just fill in any kind of role that they need. And I encourage anybody, if you want to listen to a good topic on who the best centers in the league are, Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat spoke about it. He's like Joel Embiid and Jokic. And I got respect for Jokic because he's looking for a bucket, not free throws. I was like, that's well said right there. But yeah, another sneaky move real quick here before we go to break. The Knicks did sign OG Anunoby from the Toronto Raptors, a 3-and-D guy. I don't think it makes him a contender by any means, but it did help them upset the Minnesota Timberwolves, #1 team in that Western Conference. So somebody to watch. The Knicks, Julius Randle, if they can somehow get the production they used to get out of him. But I like the fit of OG Anunoby. Yeah, maybe you lose a bit of playmaking through the trade, but you definitely get that 3-and-D presence. Ahman, before we get out of here, though, you got any updates in the esports world for us?
Right now it's kind of quiet. We're just doing some admin things. I'm talking with the president, just letting her some things that we got to start working on for the early part of spring semester. One will be a part of a few big things. I say one thing at the end of January will be the club fair, on-campus club fair. So all the clubs on campus get to basically display and show the new students within that. If there's any new students coming in the spring, all the clubs that are on campus, and we participated. They have participated year over year. So getting it ready already. So just, setting up meetings, things of that nature. We have some big things coming in, big announcement coming in February that we're going to do out we will do, but out at Super Bowl for recruiting reasons. So I can't wait to talk about that once we got everything finalized, which we're pretty much finalized just now, just finding out, who will be able to make the trip with me out there. And I'll be doing some other things, but But yeah, just quiet on the home front. We got the Beck going to start back soon around once classes start back up. I was just checking out the Discord today to see if anything was being talked about in the Beck Discord to see if it's any going to be any start times, because we know we get back to school the 22nd, and most schools do around that time here in the Big Ten. So once we hear that, we'll find out when our first matches start back up on a Monday. Then head on, through the four days of the week of competition, and then have our spring, the first start of our spring, and then head into hopefully qualifying. We know Smash had a good fall, and hopefully any other team from the Valorant, the Overwatch team, and the Rocket League team can get some momentum going to get us into the playoffs and get us into. I think it was announced. I think it was going to be at Ohio State University. It's going to be the LAN party weekend. I'll double check and confirm for tomorrow.
Absolutely. And as Clone Trooper says, once again, appreciate him as always. Big things ahead. Big things ahead indeed. Be sure to follow Ahman Green and the rest of the esports team. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, or just follow Ahman Green.
TikTok, YouTube, we're everywhere.
Guys all over it. Check out the club's teams as well. The Husker website will have those for you. But nonetheless, we got to get out of here. Don't go anywhere. Don't punt hour up next with the host, as always, the Mornay Pearsonell, and Outside the Box later. That's Ahman Green. I'm Harrison. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
All right, Clone. Peace.